Today, 1 in 6 Americans are 65 and older, according to the latest U.S. Census Bureau. This equates to about 55 million people who are in this older stage of life. Oftentimes, the advice towards this population is to take it easy, be careful, and to embrace this slower chapter of life. But what if instead of slowing down, you sped up?
The science is pretty clear that the way we look at our own aging is going to predict how well we age. So if we have a negative view of aging and we think of ourselves as having a narrower life and we're less relevant and we're frail and we're on a cognitive decline, actually those things start to happen. The opposite is true too. If you have a positive view on your life, then you will have a healthier, more vibrant life. And the statistics show that you live 7 years longer. Of course, the question then is, oh, okay, well, thank you for giving me that science, but how do we get that positive outlook in a culture that doesn't respect aging?
That's Caroline Paul, the author of Tough Broad, From Boogie Boarding to Wing Walking, How Outdoor Adventure Improves Our Lives as We Age. Today, Paul is 61 years young and spends her days traveling, piloting aircraft, and trying new things. She shares how so many people in her life fear aging and have spent so much time, money, and energy trying to turn back the clock. Because of this, she's pushed for a different focus, one that centers around embracing aging and how to keep expanding your horizons as you get older.
What I found was that going outside is an antidote to so many things that drop away as we age. So that not only community, but sense of purpose drops away, I think. Our health certainly drops away. And novelty, too. I think there was, as we get older, we don't learn something new. When I started this book, I asked my friends, like, what's the last time you learned something new? And most people hadn't, because we're older and we think we know what we like, which is great in itself, but also our brain needs to have that kind of scintillation.
And it can feel hard to push these boundaries. Maybe the shift comes after several years of staying in your own lane. Sometimes it just takes one nudge to try something new.
Sometimes mere chance, sometimes because their doctor said they needed to, sometimes because a friend said, hey, come out with me. And they said, oh, okay, might as well. But they started it and it really changed their life. And doing it with other people is so vitalizing. And again, it's a direct rebuke to this idea that, we're not relevant to the culture as we age.
Paul says part of her positive mindset today towards aging stems from the example set by her mom.
When she was 60, she moved to a new town. She was heartbroken after a breakup after 20 years with a partner. And she decided to join a cycling group. I mean, she didn't really have any outdoor background at all, but she figured this was something that could be a distraction. And instead, it became a huge passion. And what I saw was suddenly that she was leading this very social life, full of adventure. She was outside all the time. She was super fit, and she was really happy.
Paul has always embraced this adventurous, adrenaline-filled lifestyle across every period of her life. At age 20, she became a licensed pilot. She loves whitewater rafting out west and travels to different countries to explore the remote foothills on mountain bike. For research for her book, she spoke to several seniors who tried something new themselves.
I talked to Miss Kitty Weston Nauer, her race name is Miss Kitty, and she's a BMX bike racer. She's in fact the oldest female bike racer racing today. She's 74, and it's an individual sport. And I really went to talk to her because I thought, this is what would competition do to our, neural system and how it would enliven us. And in fact, what I found is that even though she was engaging in an individual race, it was really all about community.
This feeling of community was also forged through boogie boarding. Paul traveled to the coast of San Diego to try it out with a group of women in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
It's a really simple sport. It's basically a little cafeteria tray-like flotation device. And you stand in this case, sort of in the whitewater area after a wave broke, in the Pacific Ocean though, and you wait till the wave catches you, and then you lie on your back and you're propelled to shore. And you often wear fins. What I found was, as a surfer myself, that I did approach boogie boarding with a little bit of It's not really an adventure per se, but I'm interested in seeing how older people who don't have a background in the outdoors could really take to this. I think I went in it with a little bit of hubris. And what I found was the very simplicity of the sport is why it's so beautiful, because you're not tangled up in all this skill learning. You just get to the essence of it, which is, frankly, play, which we do not do enough of as adults.
Another woman Paul spoke to for her research was 52-year-old base jumper Shawn Broekman. She's been jumping off cliffs for years and is a great example of overcoming some of the fear that comes with these high adrenaline activities.
Base jumping means you're going to walk to the edge of a cliff, and then on the count of 3, you basically check yourself off, and then she said fly, I say fall for about 10 seconds, and then you throw a parachute, and then you float to the ground. It's considered one of the most dangerous sports in the world.
Even though overcoming fear is a big part of this sport, Broekman didn't shy away from her emotions in the lead up to the jump.
Her husband called her the reluctant base jumper because she was nervous for weeks before a jump. And yet she did it. And I was asking her, well, why did you do it? And basically it's because she and a lot of the women I knew understood that fear is good. It tells you that you should maybe pay more attention, but it is not necessarily a reason not to do something. In fact, it often offers you a portal into something that turns into exhilaration, and you're pushing your comfort zones, you're learning something new, all these things, again, that drop away as we age. So yeah, fear is an integral part. It's just not a reason not to do something.
Paul also emphasizes that you don't have to take up whitewater rafting or mountaineering to put yourself out there. Getting outside and trying something new can also mean a low-impact, non-extreme pastime like bird watching.
Bird watching had all the emotional elements of an adventure. We were on a quest. There was anticipation. There was exhilaration when we saw the bird. There was boredom. There was physical exertion. So during the course of this book, I changed my definition of adventure. And I want people to be clear on that. You do not have to base jump in order to have a fulfilling aging experience.
And you can start this at any age. It doesn't matter if you're 20 or 70. Paul recommends doing a quick online search for activities and groups getting together near you.
Alona Aguayo, who took up sea kayaking, she also would go on meetups. So there's these groups that meet, and you don't necessarily know anybody. You meet on a Saturday at 9:00 and you go for a walk. When I talked to a triathlete, she used an app to learn to run. So all she did was run on her own for a long time. But as she decided she wanted to get better at running, she thought, well, I'll join a group. And in fact, it was incredibly vitalizing. So she would get up at 5 a.m. to run with, let's say, Black Girls Run in the morning. And then you learn from people about races, you learn better techniques. And frankly, it's easier to get up, as she told me, at 5:45 when there's a group of people waiting for you.
It's never too late to try something new. To find out more about this topic and our guest, Caroline Paul, head to viewpointsradio.org. Also check out her book, Tough Broad, now available online and in select bookstores. For more behind the scenes and to support our show, follow Viewpoints Radio on Instagram, X, and Facebook. This segment was written by our executive producer, Amira Zaveri. Our studio manager is Jason Dickey. I'm Gary Price. Coming up on Viewpoints.
It's everything from not being able to read a newspaper article to not being able to understand a job instruction manual or a credit card agreement or a lease agreement.
The long-term effects of never learning how to properly read. Then,
what they're basically telling us as a speaker and a listener is, hold on, I need a lot of neural activation for this.
The deeper meaning behind our uhs and ums. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows and find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.